Hey folks, I'm Joe,
And I'm Travis.
and this is Story Spark.
Welcome back to Story Spark. Crap. Welcome back to Story Spark, everybody. Like we just mentioned, I'm Travis. This is Joe. And this time we thought that we'd talk a little bit about the origin of not just Story Spark, but kind of us, the creators of it. You know, we've both come from different backgrounds and different places, and it's been kind of a wild ride getting to where we are right now. So I'll have Joe, you go ahead and start. Kind of tell us a little bit about where you're from and how you got here.
Originally from Southern Maryland, St. Mary's County. Very rural area. It's Waterman, Amish, Mennonite, farm country, all that good stuff.
Fun.
Yeah. And it was a very real life, you know what I mean? And, you know, typical school, college, the whole 9 yards. I got married, and I taught for a while, middle and high school. Possibly about to teach, be a professor at a college.
It's a big teaching background.
Yeah,
like
a lot of teaching
information.
background. So I was a choir director and taught multimedia, ethnomusicology, and you know, speaking of that, really quick, when I took my kids to see Inside Out 2. In the theaters, and we're sitting there, and there's the big scene. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen it yet. There's the big scene, you know, where they're going through careers, and that popped up, and the one character said, "I don't know what that means," and I went, "Oh," you know, and of course my wife turned and looked at me like. But anyway, so I taught a bunch of different contents, all focused around music, media, and the arts, and moved to South Carolina, and enlisted in the military. I'm still in. And so you'll see me in various iterations of facial hair as we go.
Done all sorts of stuff.
And then, so we'll save the story on how we met until after your background.
Yeah, let me give a little background about myself. So I am not from Southern Maryland. I'm actually born and raised right here in the Grand Strand of South Carolina, to a very popular town right now of Conway, South Carolina. Just a little slight deviation here. Just was in Conway the other day, and over the past year or so, they've really been upping their charm factor to where I feel like normally people would come to this area just to visit Myrtle Beach, but now I've seen people that travel all the way from the Midwest just to come and see Conway during the holidays. It's beautiful.
It is.
Love my hometown. But no, born and raised here. I was actually homeschooled all through late elementary, middle, and high school. So that's probably why I'm so weird. Father owned a production company in the area, like corporate AV. He did a lot of conferences, keynote speakers, that sort of thing. And my first gig in production was kind of little middle school me filming one of these keynote speakers with a camera on a tripod. It was really boring. I thought, oh man, this is dumb. How could I make it less dumb? And so through that, I then just decided to, maybe I can like use this sort of piece of equipment or use that piece of equipment. Maybe I can document family vacations and edit them together, and it'll be really cool. So just in doing that, got into the production side of things, which is really neat, and kind of hit the ground running and haven't stopped. Part of that was kind of the meeting between Joe and myself, which I'll let you tell your side of the story from like your perspective, and then I'll kind of do a quick run through of sort of my perspective too, because it does sort of blend together after a while. But the beginning is where it differs.
Yeah. And interject when you're ready for that to happen. So so really quick. So after we had first moved here, my family and I, my wife got me this little excursion to go kayaking. So we're out around Little River, we're kayaking, going up, you know, through like Bird Island and stuff, and that whole area. And we went up, walking around the beach, and I said, man, it's really beautiful around here. There's nobody. I went to the tour guide and I said, does anybody ever film here? And the tour guide went, keep talking. And I was like, okay. So we engaged in conversation, and my wife just goes, oh no. So we were talking camera and video and the works for the entire rest of the time. That individual has since become one of my best friends down here, Win. So fast forward over, months. And I got tied in with these guys doing real estate. And so we set up a meeting at a coffee shop, and they had like a little, conference room in the back. So I'm back there, I'm talking shop with these two guys, and Win and his buddy Eric, whom I had never met before, but had heard a lot about from Win. They're out there waiting for me. So we had a break. I come out, I walk over to them. I'm like, hey guys, we got about not even 5 minutes, and then I'll be ready for y'all to come back. And, Win and this dude, Eric, that I had known for 2.5 minutes, at that point, said, hey, really quick, look over at the counter. I was like, okay. So I turned, I looked, and they said, you see that guy standing there ordering coffee? And I said, yeah. They went verbatim, sure. You need to know him. And I went, okay. No, they said, no, seriously, he's a video guy.
Sitting over there.
Yeah. And he's just up there, like, standing there at a little coffee shop, minding his own business. And they said, no, seriously, like, he's really good at what he does. We've all worked together. We've known each other for a long time. Like, go over and introduce yourself. Okay. So I moseyed over, and he was actually on this. Would have to flip flop. And I kind of did one of these bits where I kind of snuck around. I was like, hi. And he turned, he was like, hey, because he's a very pleasant and up guy. And, I was like, hi. And I said, I'm Joe, and Travis and Eric and Win over there told me to come over and introduce myself. And he kind of turned and was like, oh, hey, he's like, yeah, and hi, nice to meet you, blah, blah, blah. And I said, I reiterated to him what I was doing in the back. And I said, if you would want to come back and be a part of this meeting, you're more than welcome to. And he was like, okay, yeah, I'll think about it. I'm like, all right. So I went in the back and continued the meeting. And then like 2 or 3 minutes later, when we opened the doors, Eric and Win come in, and this guy was like, all right, sweet, and
just in there like swimwear.
It just, I mean, he kind of crept in there.
I did.
Crept into my life.
I snuck into your heart.
You did.
It was interesting because that was the only time since and at the time that I'd been to that coffee shop. I'd gotten to sort of a rut where I was just doing a lot of editing and a lot of stuff from home. And I was just thinking, oh man, this is kind of boring. Like, I need to do this stuff for work. This is important, but maybe I can just take my laptop and go to like a coffee shop, a Starbucks, a cafe or something, and just still do my work, but get a small sense of community, maybe meet some people, just sort of be engaged in the community. And so I just walked in there, and I wasn't there for maybe 5 minutes. It was funny. I actually walked in with you guys.
You did?
Yeah.
Well, I don't even remember that.
I think I walked in first. And I was just in the front part of the coffee shop, just kind of taking my bag off my shoulder. And then Eric and Win walked in, and I remember Eric very distinctly. I remember him saying, oh, hey, you're here for the production meeting? And I said, huh? And he said, yeah, the production meeting that we're having. Win's here. There's this guy, Joe. There's another dude here. We're just kind of going to all figure out some real estate stuff. I said, oh, no. Sorry. No, I'm just here to, screw around on my computer. I'm just going to go right over there on the bar. But it's great seeing you guys. I hope your meeting goes well. And they said, oh, cool, thanks. And then I go over there again, maybe 30 seconds. I finally put my laptop on the thing, on the little counter, and I can look in my peripherals. I see just a lot of this from over there with those two guys talking to Joe. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Anyway, and no sooner did I do this and I press the power button on my laptop to turn it on, do I see some dark, mysterious shadow sneak beside me. And I look over, and then it's just Joe, and he says, hi, I'm Joe. And I said, hey. And then he does the whole spiel. And then that's, the rest is history. We crept into each other's lives. And now we're here with another joint venture bringing you Story Spark. And a lot of people have asked us, Joe and Travis, what is Story Spark? Well, I'm glad you asked, everybody. Not really anybody. Story Spark, we mentioned before, and I'll mention it again, is this collective of a bunch of different projects, a bunch of different ideas, creative, innovative, any way you want to slice it. It's a place where a bunch of different content is going to be amassed of food content, travel content, reality content, lifestyle
Lifestyle.
content, you name it, a
Yeah.
ton of different stuff is going to be there. And we're really excited to sort of get things off the ground and get a few things started. And for those who want to join in with the ride with us, it's going to be a good time. So yeah, a ton of different projects from you that you've been cooking on.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we've so many concepts out there right now. Some that are, the napkin concept, others that we have sizzle, and others where, we've got a couple of episodes already, in the final stages of post production. And it's the diversity that you and I have had, just throughout our lives, even just over the last couple of years. I mean, some of the joint projects that we've been on. I mean, the very first one. Just not even 6 months after we initially, the little coffee shop situation was, we were out. Yeah. It was for those of you that are into yachts and sailboats, it was a 44-foot CSY. So a Caribbean sailing yacht.
I don't know what that is, but
now you do.
Those who just saw our intro video.
Yeah. You saw it half a second.
There's
right
a sailboat clip in there. That was that very boat.
Yep. So, there was, and it was all of us. It was
that whole crew that came to the coffee shop.
And we all crammed in, and everybody had their camera, except for me, because I wasn't in camera mode yet. So I'm just kind of hanging out, production managing the whole thing.
Sure.
And everybody's filming, and we went out, had a blast that whole day. I mean, there's a lot of I just saw when I was down in the little manhole and with the snacks.
Yeah.
And you slow mode that whole thing. That one just popped up the other day. That memory. That was pretty cool. But
just
crazy little situations like that all the way through. There was an epic adventure that we took recently, this past summer, with the man of the hour, Mr. Jeff Gilder, all the way up to Pennsylvania. And that was, how many hours were we in the truck?
A really long time.
Really, really long time. But it was just nonstop verbal shenanigans the entire way up and the entire way back.
Exactly. It'd be easy to get annoyed, but we reveled in it. We fed off of it, and it was a good time.
It was so much fun. There were 4 of us. Eric was in that as well. And then one of our other guys, Ian. And we piled into my truck and all of our equipment and drove up. A lot of really fun stories from that, but it's Story Spark, it's the amalgamation of all of this, it's everywhere we go, we shoot B-roll, just like I'm sure half of the people watching this are, whether they're a filmmaker or a videographer or an iPhoneographer or a Samsonographer or whatever ographer you want to be, you're constantly taking pictures, capturing content in some way, shape, or form. This is what we're doing with it,
Exactly. It's going to be a really cool spot. You never know what you're going to see. There's going to be something truly for everybody, which will be really nice. If you're into sports, you'll find something here. If you're into nature, you'll find something here. If you're into food, into travel, into whatever, you're going to find something here. So we're really glad for those of you who want to come along with the ride, and buckle up, hang on, because it's going to be a heck of a good time. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next Story Spark. Go spark your story.